Welcome to the August 12, 2018 edition of the BitcoinNews.com radio show. This is our 9th episode. We cover some of the biggest topics in blockchain, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency every single day on this radio show. I am your host, Zachary, aka Space Marine. And go to BitcoinNews.com for all the latest, the full spectrum of news on blockchain, cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin. So jumping right into it, the market analysis. Currently, Bitcoin is sitting at just over $6,300. The market has been pretty rough for Bitcoin during August so far. Around July 24th, Bitcoin hit a peak of $8,500 during like a mini rally caused by Bitcoin ETF, exchange traded fund, speculation. It appears there's not going to be a Bitcoin ETF anytime soon due to the SEC rejecting the Winklevoss Bitcoin Trust ETF and stalling the VanEck Solid X Bitcoin ETF, and probably stalling it more in the future before they reject it sometime in 2019. So we're not going to get an ETF, and the whole reason the market rallied from around $5,800 in the middle of July all the way to $8,500 by late July was because of that ETF, and now it seems like all that steam has left the market, and we're a little bit higher than we were before the rally started. There's probably still some room to drop, but like I say on the past show, and like I'm going to say on every show, Bitcoin has intrinsic qualities such as cryptographic security. It's very cheap. You can send hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars of it for a fee of 1 penny and it'll still be secure. You can't do that with any other payment service ever. Bitcoin is the cheapest way to send money. It's decentralized. No one can freeze your money. Unlike banks, which can totally freeze your money if they don't like what you're doing or they don't like you. And they can take money for past debts. Bitcoin is a robot. It doesn't do stuff like that. It's not a human that holds grudges and takes money for past debts and stuff. So basically, what I'm saying is Bitcoin is absolutely the best currency, period. And over time, Bitcoin will go up tremendously in the long term, like it has been. It started at a penny, it went up to $1, then $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, all the way up to $20,000. Right now, we're just over $6,000. But it's probably going to go up to $100,000, $1 million. It's going to keep doing that order of magnitude jumps long term. So we have a lot to look forward to in the Bitcoin world. On to the first story. There is news coming out of Iran that they are developing a state-backed cryptocurrency because the United States has issued extreme sanctions on them that are progressively getting worse as time goes on. Donald Trump, the President of the United States, is aiming for the worst sanctions ever. They're trying to destroy Iran's economy with these sanctions. The United States and other countries that are allies with the United States have frozen Iran's ability to trade foreign currency. Iran can't trade precious metals like gold and silver. They can't really even trade oil anymore. So what are they going to do? They're going to trade cryptocurrency and then try to make their own cryptocurrency. But I conjecture, why not just use Bitcoin? Why are they wasting their time and effort? They actually have a whole team for months now. This story's been building for months. Why don't they just use Bitcoin? Why don't they just buy up a bunch of Bitcoin secretly and then announce to the world that they've adopted Bitcoin? And just a little back info here, the Iranian rial is hyperinflating. It's going to end up being a situation like Venezuela and Zimbabwe, where the currency could collapse. The Iranian rial is rapidly heading towards a currency collapse scenario, so they're trying to get this cryptocurrency in place in time, but why not just use Bitcoin? And here's just one way Bitcoin would be better, but it's not even the main way. This is just one example. If they secretly buy up a bunch of Bitcoin, and then announce to the world that they're using Bitcoin from now on instead of their own currency, the rial, Bitcoin's price would jump massively, bringing much needed money into the Iranian government and economy. But that's not the main reason. Bitcoin has worldwide infrastructure. It's highly liquid across the world. There's numerous trading platforms and exchanges. So basically, if Iran were to use Bitcoin, it would be very easy for them to trade it across the world and buy the goods and services they need because they can send the Bitcoin everywhere. And here's another really important aspect. Venezuela has gone down the road of making their own cryptocurrency, the Petro. There's some big problems with the Petro. First off, because they were trying to use it to get around the United States sanctions, the United States made it illegal to use Petro in any way with an executive order. That means that people that do business with the United States, of course the United States citizens can use the Petro, but anyone that wants to do business with the United States cannot use the Petro. Therefore, the Petro is like on none of the global exchanges. There was one exchange that had the Petro in India, and it got hacked and destroyed. It's probably not a coincidence. Anyways, it's very hard to trade the Petro. People are afraid to touch it too because it's hard to back the value of a coin, especially if the whole world bans it, but also just fundamentally. They're trying to back the Petro with petroleum. That's why it's called the Petro. But Venezuela did not disclose how they're backing the Petro. The actual specs of Petro changed at least a couple times in the white paper before they launched, and no one knows the Petro blockchain, what's actually running it, what are the specs, and it doesn't even appear to be backed by anything. But I can't say that for sure. So people wouldn't touch it anyways, and now the US has banned it almost from the get-go. And frankly, Iran's currency, or cryptocurrency, is headed down the same road. If they make a state-backed cryptocurrency just to get around United States sanctions, it's going to be banned by the United States. That'll make it very hard to trade this Iranian cryptocurrency across the world. It's going to hurt the cryptocurrency's growth potential. But if Iran and Venezuela were just to adopt Bitcoin, there's no way the United States could ban it, no matter how much they want to ban it. Because Bitcoin's already firmly entrenched in the United States of America, and it would cause a massive uproar if Bitcoin was to be banned because Iran and Venezuela decided to make it their state currency. So basically, if Iran and Venezuela were just to use Bitcoin instead of making their own state-backed cryptocurrencies, they would have all the benefits they're looking for. They would regain their financial freedom because they could send money anywhere in the world. No one could stop Bitcoin. It's cryptographically secure. Not even the most powerful computer in the United States. The most powerful supercomputers all put together can't stop Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is tried and tested. It has a really good track record, like 99.99999% uptime, something like that. It always works. And that's much better than creating your own cryptocurrency that's not guaranteed to work. That's probably going to be banned. That's not going to be as good as Bitcoin. That's not going to have as much demand. Because Bitcoin's price is held up by the demand across the world for it because of its intrinsic qualities as the main cryptocurrency. That's what holds its price up. It gets rid of that awkward situation of trying to back the price with like reals or petroleum in Venezuela. They don't have to back it with anything when it's Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's price will go up from everyone in Iran using Bitcoin. It's a win-win. It doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't just use Bitcoin in Venezuela and Iran. Why go through the trouble of making their own cryptocurrencies? I could think of two things just speculating. Their cryptocurrencies might just be some sort of big national ICO trying to gain Bitcoin secretly. That seems like what Venezuela did. They accepted a bunch of money for their petro. I think it was Bitcoin. And they're holding that, and the petro's not really being used. Iran might go down the same route. But they have plenty of money as it is. They could just buy up the Bitcoin and do this cleanly. And then they'd be good to go. They can go around the sanctions as much as they want. And the U.S. can't stop the Bitcoin. If Iran and Venezuela want to be really secretive, like they don't want to be caught at all, because Bitcoin's on a blockchain ledger that's public, Iran and Venezuela can use Monero or Zcash, which they could buy with Bitcoin easily, and then be super secretive. Those are privacy coins. There's like no way to trace them, apparently. I haven't used them, so I don't know for sure. I have no need for privacy coins. But they're well known and they have pretty decent market caps on the order of $1 billion. So they work, they're private, and Iran and Venezuela could use those. They could even buy up all of them if they wanted to, probably. And then really make a lot of money for them if they just bought up all the privacy coins. But yeah, basically I'm saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Bitcoin works perfectly for what Iran and Venezuela want. They shouldn't have gone the route of like, oh, we want a state-backed cryptocurrency. They should have went the route of, let's just use Bitcoin. It works. Now for our next story. Kim Dotcom is warning the world that the United States jet bomb is going to explode, and now is the time to buy Bitcoin and gold. Kim Dotcom is an extremely infamous person on the internet, famous superstar, whatever you want to call him. He ran the site Mega Upload, which became the global hub for internet pirates that were downloading movies and videos and software like Microsoft Word and Photoshop. All of the illegal copies of things were going for Mega Upload. Not all of them, but a large amount. And eventually, helicopters landed on his farm, or whatever you want to call it, mansion in New Zealand. They took all of his money. He really hates the government, but he does have a good point here. Due to Donald Trump's tax cuts in the United States and other measures, United States debt is running out of control. The deficit is now over $1 trillion per year. That means the debt's going to go up by $1 trillion per year. Right now, the debt is sitting at $21.342 trillion. This is a new record for the United States debt. It's extreme. To put this in perspective, Bitcoin's market cap right now, as of August 12, 2018, is $109 billion. The total cryptocurrency market cap is $214 billion. Bitcoin represents 0.5%. If you compare it, it's not 0.5% of the debt, but it's the same size as 0.5% of the United States debt. And the total cryptocurrency market cap is 1% the size of the United States debt. That means there's 100 times more debt than all the money in crypto. And crypto's a big field, as we know. It's a big burgeoning field that's worldwide, and there's 100 times more money in debt. And how this works, basically, the United States can print money, but that doesn't actually add towards the debt. When they print money, they gain money, technically. The debt is issued via bonds. And the debt is issued to fill in that budget deficit we talked about, a $1 trillion a year, and it's growing. It's getting worse. They're looking for more tax cuts, and they're not bringing in more revenue or anything. So basically, they issue these bonds, the U.S. dollar bonds, and the U.S. dollar bonds are actually the gold standard of the bond world. Just like Bitcoin is the gold standard of the cryptocurrency world, gold is the gold standard of the precious metal world. But yeah, the U.S. dollar bonds, they're the gold standard of the bond market. They actually are an essential, integral part of the global economy that props it up. If people want to hold currency, they will buy the U.S. dollar bonds because they can be redeemed for currency, and they slowly gain value over time, which kind of competes with inflation, but not really. It's not even enough interest to make up for inflation. But it does grow versus just holding normal dollars if the United States pays them. The United States is currently nowhere near defaulting despite the huge $21.342 trillion of debt, which is mind-boggling. But in the future, if they don't do anything about this, like if it continues to be Republicans and Democrats working together to make the debt higher, and they're not really a different party, they're just working for more spending, it seems like in my lifetime, we will hit a critical point where the debt can't be paid anymore. At that point, defaults will start happening. Quickly, United States dollars will go from being the gold standard to junk, to not being paid, to being worth nothing. And this will have a strong negative impact on the global economy because nations like China, especially, have huge amounts of USD bonds holdings. Also, corporations have tremendous amounts of USD bonds. Even individuals have tremendous amounts of USD bonds. Imagine if they all went to zero. The entire economy would completely collapse. There'd be like no saving it. But in a last-ditch attempt to save it, as the bonds slowly default, they'll print tons of money to fill it in and try to pay the bonds with that. They'll pay the interest of money printing. It might already be getting to that. I don't know for sure, because we have pretty high inflation. There's over 100% inflation in my lifetime. It might be getting to the point they're printing money to pay the interest. And now we start getting to a dangerous point. So maybe they'll never default. They can just print money. They're allowed to print money. Why not? So yeah, it'll lead into a hyperinflation situation where the US dollar becomes progressively less valuable as more money is printed to pay for the interest for all these debts. And the really scary part is that even if an administration that's like totally new, like a new party, like the Liberate Party or something, steps in and they're new and they want to fix it, if they took away all that money being pumped into the U.S. economy via the budget deficit actually represents money being pumped into the economy, like $1 trillion a year. That's a lot of money. And if that's taken away, the economy might spiral into a deep recession, and then that'll require money printing and debt issuance again. Like, there might be no escape at this point. The country might have gone too far, leading to the inevitable collapse of the United States dollar. The United States is a pretty smart country. We'll still have a huge military. We're probably going to have lots of resources, especially as this approaches. They'll be amassing resources in secret. I don't think the United States will collapse, but the US dollar could collapse. And Bitcoin is the number one candidate for taking over global currency. It has worldwide infrastructure already. It'll be a smooth transition. It'll be a harsh transition for people that don't pay attention. But it'll be smooth for people that just buy some Bitcoin now. If they even buy like 0.1 Bitcoin now, if the US dollar collapses, they'll be rich. If they buy a whole Bitcoin, they'll be like super duper wealthy. If you buy 0.01 Bitcoin, you might be able to get by it for your whole life. So just pay attention. And since you're listening to the show, you have a chance to pay attention. Keep some Bitcoin if the US dollar is on the path to collapsing, and it appears it is. Kim Dotcom is totally right. It's time to amass some Bitcoin. And he also says gold. Gold's a good thing, but I just want to keep talking about Bitcoin for a minute. So yeah, basically Bitcoin's the number one candidate to replace the US dollar because it can be used efficiently as a currency. Gold is very hard to use as a currency worldwide. You can't really send like $1 billion of gold to another country without like a ship or something, or a big airplane like a C-130. So yeah, Bitcoin's the number one that's going to be an easily liquid currency that'll be safe to use, respectable, reputable. Gold's a good asset to have because when the US dollars collapses, the paper gold market that's been saturating the price of gold to a low level, they're printing tons of paper gold on COMEX to keep gold's price low. And once the US dollars collapse, that'll go away. We might find out that gold right now, it says it's worth $1,200 an ounce right now. It might be worth $100,000 or like $10,000 at least. So gold's an amazing investment, and silver's also up there. It's just more bulky to have silver, but silver's cool. I love those silver American Eagles. So yeah, buy some silver, buy some gold, but especially get some Bitcoin, because Bitcoin stands the chance of becoming the number one global currency. Gold will be a currency too, just like it was in the old days, but Bitcoin will definitely be ahead of it because it's so easy to transact Bitcoin. It acts the same way as gold. Bitcoin's like digital gold that you can just send anywhere in the world instantly. It's just as good as gold. It holds value like gold because there's a fixed supply of 21 million Bitcoins that can't be messed with. Gold can actually be mined, there's no fixed supply, but that doesn't really make a difference. Anyways, just to sum up, Kim Dotcom is saying the U.S. debt bomb is going to explode. We have $21.342 trillion of debt right now, and that's like the highest ever. Eventually, the United States is going to be printing tons of money just to keep up with the interest payments, and then they're going to be printing tons of money to fulfill the budget. It's going to lead to hyperinflation. It's inevitable, and it seems like nothing could save it, and Kim Dotcom's right. Buy Bitcoin and gold and maybe silver now while you have the chance. Don't just let all your money go to waste. You have the chance right now, any of you. Even these people that are really stubborn about Bitcoin, they have the chance right now to take that money and buy some Bitcoin. Just buy 0.1 Bitcoin if your $100,000 you saved up. Buy like $600 of Bitcoin and save your life. I recommend putting it all in Bitcoin pretty much. I mean, keep some currency. Keep like half currency at least, like USD for now. But monitor it as the situation progresses. I don't want to give investment advice right now, but this is just like really logical, futuristic advice that Bitcoin is inevitably going to be the number one currency. And other countries are totally going to collapse currency-wise, like fiat currency-wise, before the United States. And that'll drive Bitcoin's price way up. Like Canada and Australia are on track to collapse way quicker than the U.S. as far as their currency goes. And other countries are collapsing now, like Venezuela and Zimbabwe. Venezuela and Zimbabwe were just the lead indicators of what's going to happen to all fiat. All the fiats operate on the same system, they just happened faster. All the fiats are going down the same path. Anyways, on to our next story. An Estonian man named German Neff has started the Find Satoshi movement, and he's using a Russian crowdfunding site to get money to track down Satoshi. He says regardless of what Satoshi wants, and even if Satoshi wants to remain hidden, he's going to track him down with a team of private investigators. And he's using private investigators from like every country, like the UK, Japan, Russia, etc. Probably all over the world if he gets the money for it. If he's being honest, one caveat that I wrote in this article on Bitcoin News is maybe he can't be trusted. Even though it looks like he has a plan set up, maybe he's just going to steal the money. The money's going to go to him. It wouldn't even be illegal if he tried to pretend he's finding Satoshi, but doesn't even spend the money to do it. Anyways, if he's really doing this, it's like launching a manhunt for Satoshi Nakamoto. And think about this. Satoshi Nakamoto did an amazing thing for the world that might save the world in the future. Because we just talked about how fiat might collapse, like the USD might collapse, and then by that point all the fiats of the world, even the Russian ruble, will be totally collapsed. And Bitcoin will be the saving grace. It'll allow international commerce to continue at the same scale, if not better, all thanks to Satoshi Nakamoto. He did an amazing thing for this world. But he knew this was taking away the thunder from the United States government and all the other world governments. He wanted to be safe. He was scared for his life. So he remained completely anonymous as he did this. He went through great lengths so his name was not revealed, and he still hasn't officially revealed it to this day. Craig Wright said he was Satoshi. There's a book written by some guy that claims to be Satoshi. It's unknown who exactly Satoshi is, though. Anyways, anyone trying to find Satoshi is really doing a major disservice, because if Satoshi really is identified by this guy that's leading the Find Satoshi movement, Satoshi will be tracked down by bandits and criminals for the rest of his short life. And by the government, too. Everyone's going to be trying to rob Satoshi. Even governments will arrest him and then seize his stash. Just like they arrest small-time Bitcoin people and seize their stash, they'll seize all million Bitcoin Satoshi has. And Satoshi, this could be the beginning of Satoshi's murder. God forbid. Hopefully it will not happen. Satoshi's a very smart dude. He probably won't get caught by this. Hopefully German F is just lying and Find Satoshi's going to like squander away the money on other things and not spend any of it on finding Satoshi. But what I'm trying to say here is it's really evil to try to find Satoshi, considering he has so much money and he would be tracked down until he died. God forbid again. So it really amazes me that people would fund this. I think it's awful. And just to read some of the statements on their website, just to show how messed up they are in the head. They say, "We, the international group of crypto enthusiasts, Find Satoshi, are initiating an international search for the creator of the Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto. The cryptocurrency world needs to be sure that the cryptocurrency is not a global fraud." Once again, the cryptocurrency world needs to be sure that the cryptocurrency is not a global fraud. That's crazy. So this guy that wants to find Satoshi thinks Bitcoin and cryptocurrency might be a global fraud. He's not the right guy to be finding Satoshi. He's obviously extremely biased and hates Bitcoin. It's obvious. So why would anyone give him money to track down the founder of Bitcoin? He would obviously try to hurt him, God forbid. He also says that Satoshi might sell the million coins, and that gives him the reason to track him down. So what's he going to do? Take away his coins? Is that what this guy's trying to do? He might just be a bandit. And he might really be investing in finding Satoshi, so he could be a bandit and hurt him. God forbid. My wife says I gotta say God forbid after any sort of negative prediction, and I believe she is right on that. So I'm gonna keep saying that if I say anything negative like this. Because I really don't want Satoshi to get hurt. And saying something negative spiritually can cause that. So I just gotta be careful. They go on further to say that even if Satoshi doesn't want to reveal himself, they must disclose him publicly. So that's all I really got to say about that story. I hope no one funds Find Satoshi that listens to this. And I hope the Find Satoshi movement totally fails. I hope he doesn't reach his crowdfunding goal, and I hope the money isn't given to him. It's awful. No one should be trying to find Satoshi. It's practically like a murder. On to our next story. Bitmain, the biggest manufacturer of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency mining equipment in the world, is creating the Bitcoin mining router. Yes, this is an internet router that mines cryptocurrency. The second you connect it to the Wi-Fi, to the internet, well, the second you start broadcasting Wi-Fi from it, you connect it to the internet, it starts mining cryptocurrency on Antpool, which is one of the biggest Bitcoin mining pools run by Bitmain. And they have two different ones. They have a Blake 2B miner, which mines Sia coin, and then they have an X11 miner, which mines Dash, which used to be Darkcoin. I thought Darkcoin was a better name than Dash. I don't know why they changed it. Anyways, you can also just not mine Sia coin or Dash and mine any of the X11s or Blake 2Bs, depending on which router you got. But they said they can't guarantee efficiency. They're saying for the Blake 2B router, it's going to have 11.54 gigahash per second while consuming 22.6 watts of electricity. The X11 miner will mine at 300 megahash per second while consuming 24.37 watts of electricity. This is actually quite an amazing deal. It costs less than 0.01 Bitcoin for this mining router. And this is an even more amazing deal for people like in college dorms and even me. Like, I'm in an apartment where I pay the rent and that includes the electricity. Anyone in that sort of situation should get this. They could probably pay their entire internet bill or their phone bill if they're hotspotting just by having this router mining all the time. And then if they keep the money, when cryptocurrency inevitably goes up, like we're talking about across this whole show, when the fiat collapses or even hyperinflates, if any cryptocurrency mined now is going to be worth a lot more in the future, long term. So this router, just like powering your internet by Bitmain, could end up being your fortune in the future. So I really think anyone that has the opportunity and compatibility should get this router if they can work it into their internet service, if it's compatible. And it might not be. Like a lot of services like Comcast and AT&T, they require certain types of routers, and it might not work with this, especially since they probably don't like Bitcoin. I've had fights with AT&T and Comcast both in the past because they block certain Bitcoin ports and stuff, so mining might not really work that good if you get this router. That's just speculation, though. Hopefully it does work. Speculation based on my own experiences. Anyways, this is not the first household technology used for cryptocurrency mining. Canaan, which is the second largest manufacturer. I'm not sure how far of a second they are, but I'm pretty sure they're a very far second place, like they're nowhere near Bitmain. They're creating a crypto mining television, so you watch TV and it mines cryptocurrency. That sounds interesting, but it also sounds like a recipe for overheating your TV. But it sounds cool anyways. I like this idea of installing mining rigs and everything. And also, a French company called Carnot produced a cryptocurrency mining rig, which is a heater. They're all heaters. So I don't think this is anything new, but it's an interesting way to try to sell something, especially if you're a small company. Be like, oh, this is a heater and a mining rig. They're all heaters. Seriously, there's huge fans on all these mining rigs blowing away the heat, so they're heaters. Anyways, I think it would be cool if they had a cryptocurrency mining fridge, a cryptocurrency mining microwave, a cryptocurrency mining air conditioner, cryptocurrency mining toaster, cryptocurrency mining everything. So people will come over to your house and they won't even know unless you tell them you have a mining farm all around your house making you rich in the future. Like the cryptocurrency it might mine now might be a small amount, but it'll be mining. All your appliances in the house could be mining. And in the future, you just wait for it, like wait 10 years for fiat to collapse or even to hyperinflate a lot. And boom, you're rich just by having appliances like this. So I think it's actually a great idea. And I'm hoping I can get something like that in the future. That's all the news we have for you today on this August 12th, 2018 edition, the 9th episode of the BitcoinNews.com Daily Radio Show. Come back every day, forever. We will be here every day for all eternity, giving you the full spectrum, the major stories on blockchain, cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin. Likewise, go to BitcoinNews.com for the full spectrum of blockchain, cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin news. If you read BitcoinNews.com, you will be an expert. This is Space Marine, signing out.